It's Tuesday, the 8th of February 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we've got 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, so we'll get straight into it. Story number 1, a very big deal today for the travel and tourism sectors. They have finally got the news they've been waiting for. Australia's borders are set to reopen on February 21.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison said Australia will reopen its border to all remaining visa holders, including tourists, providing travellers are vaccinated. Now, that's defined as 2 doses of vaccine, not 3, not the booster shot. We should soon see the backpackers, students, the economic migrants and holiday makers back around the place. That's after a 2-year absence. It will be up to the states to decide what quarantine requirements they impose on tourists and if they put a cap on arrivals. Western Australia, of course, still remains closed to the rest of the country and won't be letting in international travellers. The announcement was pretty much welcomed across the board, as you could imagine. The travel stocks did very well as a result. Flight Centre was up 8%, for example. Qantas was up nearly 5%. Qantas boss Alan Joyce said Australia was finally open for business again. And it's really good news, not just for the travel and tourism stocks, but also the universities, cafes, restaurants, or as Westpac boss Peter King put it, the decision is vitally important for business.
Yeah, it certainly is. On to story number 2 today, Sean, and it's really one for investors because everyone pays very close attention when the banks are providing their updates, and ANZ provided its quarterly update yesterday, and investors really weren't impressed with its share price dropping nearly 5% at one point. What's going on? What's got everyone so upset?
Well, all in all, it was a disappointing quarter, particularly compared to Westpac, which last week surprised investors on the upside. A big part of the reason at ANZ for the underperformance is its mortgage business. It's been among the slowest lenders to provide approvals for applications, and that's hurt its market share. That is picking up. It's now back to industry norms, so that's not a lot to skite about. The bank said its operating costs were flat. It said that it was trying to lower and simplify fees for retail and commercial bank customers, but that was coming at a cost. Its profit margins were squeezed during the December quarter. The good news is that Omicron doesn't appear to have triggered a big jump in bad debts. By the end of the day, the share price had recovered a bit. It finished down 2%, but easily it's the worst performer of the big 4 yesterday.
Okay, story number 3. And look, sometimes when we talk politics, you can actually hear people's eyes glazing over. It will not be happening today because this story about politics is all entertainment. It is an absolute circus in the federal coalition at the moment, Sean.
It sure is. The former Nats leader Michael McCormack tried to play down the revelation that current leader Barnaby Joyce had sent texts saying Scott Morrison was a liar and a hypocrite. Mr McCormack said it was important for the National Party to focus on the electorate, but then he couldn't help himself and he sort of said, oh yeah, but Mr Joyce has got some explaining to do. Now, Mr Joyce was out yesterday taking the blame, saying he was in a different mind space when he sent those texts nearly 12 months ago, and nowadays he has a completely different relationship with the Prime Minister. No doubt he does. Also, former New South Wales Labor Premier and Federal Minister Bob Carr named Peter Dutton, the Defence Minister, as the person who sent texts calling Scott Morrison a complete psycho. They were sent a couple of years ago. The source of them hasn't been revealed, but Mr Carr says he has a rock-solid source implicating Mr Dutton. For their part, the Libs say, why would you trust Bob Carr on Liberal Party matters? In any case, it's taking all the focus off probably more important policy matters.
Yeah, absolutely right. Story number 4, Sean. Everyone who shops at basically any supermarket anywhere would be familiar with the Woolworths logo. It's the green kind of apple-shaped W. Big news for Woolworths. They are rolling out a new group brand identity. Have a go at describing this one on an audio podcast, Sean.
Well, basically, in the words of Woolworths, it better symbolises its evolution and what its collective businesses and platforms stand for. No, I don't know what that means either. Michael, it's basically 3 blue squiggly lines, which are appropriations of letter W, set inside each other. It doesn't look anything like the old green symbol, probably a good thing. Boss Brad Banducci was very excited about it yesterday. Now, look, mostly companies change their logos to update their image and overcome brand fatigue. I think that's probably what Woolworths in their marketing speak was trying to say yesterday. Plenty of companies have done it in recent years, Commonwealth Bank, Qantas. Nike has never done it, which I think is interesting because it's still at the top of its game 40 years on, but that's because it's been able to reinvent its products and services and things like that. All in all, Michael, I actually quite like the new Woolworths logo.
I do too. actually, but I'm sure we'll see plenty of discussion about it in coming weeks as it's rolled out. Story number 5, Sean, last one for today. This is a story out of India, and it's all about getting priorities straight.
Yes, one of the country's biggest singing stars, Lata Mangeshkar, died over the weekend from COVID-19. Now, she was known as the Nightingale of India. She received her country's highest civilian award during a 60-year career, a megastar in that country. As a result, the Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee delayed any decision on interest rates out of respect, and banks in Mumbai and the bond and currency markets in the country were also shut as a sign of respect. I think that's pretty cool.
I think that is too. I can't imagine it happening here or in the US, but that is a really respectful, very nice thing to do.
It is.
All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thanks, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 8th of February 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if you're after something slightly longer, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.